Welcome back to the Bare Minimum Podcast. It is episode 13 and we are finally back after a long wait. It's been a long time, Jude, hasn't it?
It has indeed. I've been travelling for 2 months and I'm back. But I have to say it went very quickly, Charlie Kneath. Very quickly.
It did. We've been up to a lot, me and you.
We have. But we are finally back with hopefully a banging episode.
Yes. So today we are joined by none other than professional footballer Danny Reid. Welcome to the podcast, Danny.
Well, boys, how's it going?
All good, all good.
It's good.
Just before we get into it, as you can see, we are doing this digitally. Because, Danny, where are you in the world?
Yeah, I'm currently in Lithuania, which is like the most random country you probably could have picked. And also, apologies for any background noise. I'm currently in a coffee shop because the Wi-Fi at my house is just terrible. So
of course,
there's just no point in trying it.
So yeah, we're obviously not in Jude's studio today because Danny can't be with us. He is currently obviously mid-season in Lithuania, so he can't just hop over for a podcast. But thank you for joining us, Danny. We're going to get into some questions, talk a bit about your life, and talk about the bare minimum of becoming a professional footballer. Obviously, me and Jude, we absolutely love football. Jude's an Arsenal fan. Great result for you Gooners yesterday, sadly. Don't know how. You were at the game, weren't you? How did you find the game?
How did I find the game? Bit stressful, I can't lie. Arsenal were shocking yesterday, really below par. But it was good news that we were playing Man United because they was just as bad. I thought second half we played a little bit better, but at the same time I thought, I said to the person I went with, I said, look, United are going to nick this 2-1. And little did he know, they did, but it was offside. And then my second prediction was 3-1 to Arsenal, and I got it right. Obviously, Rice at the end, bit lucky with his shot, but you know, if you don't shoot, you don't score. So it was a great atmosphere and great to be there, of course.
Yeah, obviously I'm a Spurs fan, and actually so is Danny. We're both Yiddos. So it's been a good start for all of our teams this season. Danny, how have you been following the football? Are you able to follow much in Lithuania, or are you not been able to really watch the games and stuff?
I mean, I've been able to stream like a couple games, but yeah, it's very limited, broadcasting. It's actually crazy, basketball is actually the main sport in Lithuania.
Is it?
Most people watch basketball instead of football. So, yeah.
Have you been to a basketball game yet, or have you just been fully focused on the football and stuff?
No, not yet. I haven't been to basketball. I actually don't think their season even starts because I know they've been playing in like the FIBA World Championship.
Oh, yeah.
Lithuania beat the USA yesterday, which is quite embarrassing. So.
Oh, mad.
Yeah, not looking forward to training today.
Oh, God. You're going to get rinsed for that.
Absolutely.
Okay, decent. We'll get into it then. We'll get into your past, how you've actually managed to become a professional footballer. So where did football start for you first, Danny? What was your first sort of experiences of football?
Yeah, no, I mean, I basically told everyone, I've been playing football pretty much since I could walk. My dad was a very good college footballer. He played in the U.S. and stuff. And so, yeah, when I grew up, there was always just a football, laying around the house. So that was probably where it first started. And, yeah, just been playing it ever since. So.
Decent. So, obviously, you grew up in America, is that right?
Correct, yeah. I was born in Vietnam, but I was adopted by a family in the U.S. And then, I just grew up in the U.S. pretty much my whole life. Obviously, moved to England for a bit, and yeah.
Decent. Obviously, the football over in America, I've experienced it only for a little bit, and I know it's a very different type of system. You can't, obviously, in England you have your Sunday league, your youth football. You might get into an academy, or you might go through a semi-pro team. How does it work in America for people that don't know?
Yeah, so I mean, when I was growing up, it was very different because obviously, football's taken off a lot. I think in the last 5 years for the U.S., especially after the World Cup, you see more U.S. footballers playing in the Premier League, like McKinney, Tyler Adams, Brendan Aronson, Pulisic, so it's taken off a lot. And I mean, now there's MLS academies, it's very almost comparable to the Premier League in that sense. But for me growing up, we didn't really have that. So, I mean, I played a local club team. We called it travel soccer team, which, I'll say soccer for now, but we'll go back to football in a minute. But yeah, so I played travel soccer, and then I joined an academy when I was probably 15, but like it was nowhere near the standard that it is today. And yeah, like that was pretty much like the only way. And you always play like school football, similar to like England. But yeah, that was kind of, you know, not that serious as well. So yeah, I don't know. It really wasn't like a very, I guess, serious environment. I think that I grew up playing football.
Yeah, decent. So did you play many other sports like during school? Was it all completely like soccer?
No, yeah, actually, I mean, in the U.S., you're actually encouraged to play like more than one sport. Like it's almost frowned upon, I think, growing up if you only do one sport. So yeah, I mean, I played baseball, played golf, played obviously basketball, football, but never competitively. Did running. So yeah, I played loads of sports, and I actually thought I was going to be a professional baseball player. Like that was always my dream growing up. Like as a kid, yeah, I didn't even think I was going to play professional soccer until probably about 18, 19 and stuff. Yeah.
What would Danny? What would you say the differences between let's just say soccer for America and football for English football? What would you say the differences between America and England when playing in the both?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd say the chants are definitely more brutal for starters. I don't know if you guys seen any of those TikToks, but everyone's taking the piss out of like.
No, I saw one this morning actually.
Yeah. No,
Fight and win.
That's it. No, that's it. I'd say that's like a joke, but I think moving to England, obviously, like the physicality and aggressiveness in England is just like different level, and I'd say too, like tactically, I think a lot of players are like more switched on, which I would attribute to obviously growing up in academy systems and sort of having like the football brains around them. Whereas I feel like in the U.S., like it's really based on like your physical attributes, but not in terms of like strength. It's more like how fit you are, like how explosive you can be, a lot of stamina. But I'd say, you know, like a lot of players maybe don't necessarily understand the roles, like coaches will tell them like where to be on the pitch, and like they'll just go and do it, but they don't really necessarily understand like why they're meant to be there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's pretty good. What would you say? What would you say you learn? Would you say you've learned more in the English game, like learn more in the English game than you did in the American game? Did you find a lot more about football now, like better to play? If that makes sense as a question.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think like playing in, first of all, I advocate like everyone, obviously you've just finished traveling, and I'd say like anyone who wants to go abroad or like travel should 100% do it, because I feel like you obviously gain, like you learn things like different cultures, different things like when you travel. But yeah, for me, like obviously I pretty much played football in the US my whole life, and it was very, like I said, like very like stamina focused, like fitness focused, and for me, like I knew that the main attributes that I needed to improve on if I wanted to play professionally was the physical attributes in terms of like aggressiveness, learning how to play more physically, even just like maybe even like being better tactically as well. And so that's kind of why I went to England, because I knew, hey, if I go here, I'll learn these things. And yeah, I honestly did not plan to spend more than one season in England. And it was just for like other circumstances that I ended up playing another season before I ended up actually going abroad.
Decent. Yeah. I done a bit of research on you, Danny. I know a bit of your a little bit of the past. So obviously from 2012 to 2017, you're at the South East Soccer Academy. So that's what you mentioned before.
This is like full in depth.
I've done my research. This is what I'm like in football. I literally know the ins and outs and everything. I know non-league. I know where you've played and all that. Then obviously you did the Olympic Development Programme between 2015 and 2017. Can you mention a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so like that was basically like the closest thing that I can think of to kind of like an academy. Basically it was like this might be a really dumb explanation, but like obviously the US is broken up into like 50 states, right? Yeah. So like I grew up in a state called Connecticut, and the Olympic Development Program, like each state has one. So it was like the best players in Connecticut, and then you would train, and then you would get selected for like either, if you're good enough, you get selected for like a regional team. So like my region was New England, and so yeah, we train, and then if you got selected for the regional team, you go and play like all the different regions at like some big tournament. So yeah, that's what I did, and like that was really good, because like obviously you're playing like, you know, the best best players arguably in the country in your age group and stuff. So I'd say that was probably the most comparable thing between academy.
Decent.
Good
And then after that, you go into college after that for 4 years?
Correct.
What college were you at and what system was it?
Yeah, so I actually played Division III, which is like the lowest system in the U.S. in terms of NCAA. And yeah, the college is called Allegheny College. It's actually mad because like I think people underestimate how difficult it is to actually play Division I and like all the different factors that like are attributed into like selecting a college. Like, I mean, obviously it wasn't expensive when I was going, but it's still crazy. But now I think it's like 4 years of going to university. Most people estimate it'll cost you anywhere between $300,000 to $400,000.
Yeah.
Which to me is like absolutely mental. Like you could buy like a house for that. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's crazy. But yeah, so I mean, I was looking at a couple Division Ones, like had a little bit of interest, but there was no way that I would have gotten like any sort of money or any sort of financial help to go there. So yeah, I ended up going to a D3, got like a really nice package, and yeah, it was a good experience, and I feel like I was quite fortunate. My coach was actually an ex-professional, so he had a lot of sort of knowledge in terms of like, you know, the things you had to do, and yeah, for me, he was like a really good mentor, so it all kind of happened for a reason, you know? So.
Yeah. Obviously, I went through the process of going to America and I did eventually go out there. So I understand how it works. But for someone like Jude, can you explain what D1, D2 and D3 means? And also what like the scholarship packages are like, how they differentiate?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's broken down like, I'd say like the main sort of breakdown is Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. And Division 1 is the highest level. Division 2 is like the second highest level. Division 3 is the lowest level. And so like each sort of area, obviously, like there's like obviously a gap between like sort of like the level of play and the skill, but I'd say that for the most part, like it's not as big as people think it is. First of all, like I'd say that a lot of like if you took like the best Division 2 school in the nation, like realistically they could probably beat a lot of like mid-tier D1s, and like same thing for like D3s. Like you took the best Division 3 school in the country and played like the worst Division 1 in the country, it'd probably be like a good match. So like it's not as big as people think. Which I think is something worth noting. And then like Division 1 is the only, I guess actually no, I'm actually not sure. Division 2 they might be able to give out athletic scholarships, but
no, D2 do give out athletic scholarships. Okay, it's only Div 3.
It's only D3, that doesn't give athletic scholarships. But I mean, I would say right now that the scholarship package I got from my Division 3 school was like definitely attributed to some of my athletics, because my grades coming out of high school were no way good enough to get what I got. So yeah, there's a bit of leeway there. So, but yeah, I'd say that's kind of like the main breakdown.
No, that's really interesting. I actually, like ages and ages ago, I actually thought about trying to get a scholarship to go over to America as well. When I wanted to be a professional footballer. A year later, I soon realised I weren't good enough for the game, and had to make that decision to obviously not go and do it. But no, that's actually really interesting to hear for someone who might have actually gone and done something like that if they were good enough. But what's really interesting to hear about that is kind of how far you've actually come as an individual as well. Your journey as a footballer has been pretty insane. Now you've actually finally made it to a professional footballer. How is that feeling for you?
Do you know what, like, so I wrote down some lessons I feel like I thought I've learned over my journey and stuff. Like, I remember when I went in, like, I got the call right that, like, the club said they were going to offer me a contract and stuff. I went in and signed it, and like, obviously it's been the thing I've been working for like already the last like 5-6 years, and like it didn't feel the way that I really thought it was going to feel. And I think for me, obviously it's like more I think about like the journey than it's like the actual destination, because like now that I've signed this contract, like I just like want something else. Do you know what I mean? Like I want like the next thing, you know? So
definitely,
I think for me it's that's like one of my biggest lessons, I'd say, just to focus on like all the steps.
No, definitely, and
like what it is, you know?
Yeah, I think you're completely right there, and I definitely relate to that in my business as well. When let's say I've done something, or the company's done really really well or something, it feels to me it's always about that next thing, and next thing, next thing. But at the same time as well, it is important to also celebrate and reflect on what you've achieved so far. So I think it's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I think too. Do you mind if I just go through sort of my whole journey?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, go.
That'd be good. Right. So like, for me at least, growing up, like, and like, I mean, Charlie, and like, I mean, Jude, I don't know if you've seen any photos, but like, I've never been the biggest kid like ever. Like, I'm like 5'6", 5'7", like probably around like 63, 64 kilograms. Like very sort of like unopposing or whatever. And growing up, I was very short, very skinny. Never really came into myself till about college, but that was like always like a huge hindrance. Like I felt like so many coaches would tell me like throughout the course of my career, like you just can't handle the game like physically, like, and that's why we're not gonna pick you. Like I remember I got cut from my middle school soccer team like 2 years in a row. Like I feel like solely for that reason. I don't know what the equivalent of middle school is in terms of England, by the way. Maybe like primary school or.
No, Jude. In some areas there is a mid, like it's very different. Obviously, in Sussex we have primary school and secondary school, but in some areas there is middle school. So it probably would be secondary school, like is what middle school is.
Okay, yeah. So I got cut from my soccer team then, and like in high school, like I played pretty well, but going into like trying to like play in Division 1 stuff, like I got told by every single coach like, you'll never make it physically, like whatever. And so I don't know, like I feel like I've had so many setbacks throughout sort of my course and course of my journey. And so I played Division 3, signed semi-professionally in the U.S. my last season, and then actually my coach at college, he said like, listen, Danny, you can do something after college with soccer if you really want to, but like obviously you're gonna have to sacrifice. He kind of just laid it out for me and said, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to improve on. Like, if you're willing to do it, make some big, like, lifestyle changes, like, like obviously I'll be here and, like, go for it. And so, played a season, like, semi-professionally in the U.S., and then just decided to move to England on my own. Obviously, really struggled. Like, my first season adjusting was pretty tough, but I feel like I learned a lot. So I got kind of what I needed. And then I went and traveled in Italy that summer. The summer after, I ended up actually getting a contract, like a full-time contract, which ended up falling through because of my visa and my passport. And that was really hard because I had to come back, basically play another season in the UK. Struggled again, and then I was training at different clubs, like trialing at different clubs, but I just felt like really frustrated, sort of to be playing back in England again. Basically finished the season, was so resigned not to play in England again, so I didn't even speak to anybody, didn't speak to any coaches or anything, and then I was just really fortunate to just get a couple of different opportunities and then selected the one I have now. But like it's just been like the fattest like journey of just highs, lows, lots of lows,
Definitely. Definitely.
Obviously, you mentioned that you went to Italy, and I know, like you've told me, you showed me the contract and stuff. But just to paint a picture, what division were the Italian sides that you got offered contracts at? Yeah,
so it was fifth tier. Italy was the first contract, and then I ended up getting a Serie D contract offer as well.
That's decent. And then obviously in England, to paint another picture for you, Jude. Obviously we trained. I trained with you, didn't I, a couple of times. We've actually trained at 2 clubs, but we've never played football together. What you understand the non-league steps, don't you? What steps were they in terms of the non-league?
Yeah. So I'm not going to air out any clubs or anything. But
no. You don't have to do that.
I was playing step 9, and then or like the 9th level football. Step 5. Step 5 football, and then I was training at a step 4. And I trialed around like a step 3 as well. But really struggled and I just felt like it's really, obviously it's tough because, you come in as like a foreign player in England, and I feel like in England, especially in league, like your reputation and like sort of background means everything, especially to like English managers. And so
Agreed.
That was quite difficult. Like I think England for me was like the first real experience about football politics, and like navigating those was very, very, very tricky. So, but. I won't really say any more or anything because,
Yeah, some coaches could get a little bit annoyed. I understand. Obviously, you told me about a lot of the situations that we've been in. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about. I mean, I trained at like 8 clubs during pre-season. Obviously, we both spoke about our like frustrations with the English game.
Yeah.
How have you overall? How would you find your time in England? Like, how would you summarise it?
No, you know what? Like, obviously, I struggled massively, and like, I'm not gonna say it was a good time, right? But I came to England with a very specific sort of like mission, if you will. Like, I just wanted to improve physically, aggressively, tactically, and I feel like for the most part, I did that. And I mean, I'm a huge believer too, like that sort of everything happens like for a reason. Like whether you see it or not at the time, like it's all happening like for a reason. So like, I mean, obviously I think I met a lot of people in England who might not have been the best for me, like coaches wise, like a lot of people who might not have been the best for my career, but like I have no resentment against any of them. So I just feel like, maybe the struggles I went through then are going to prepare me for struggles that I'm encountering now. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's what something I try to keep in like the back of my head, because otherwise it gets really long. So,
Yeah, of course. So in terms of that then, like what were like this type of steps that you took to make sure that you made like a frustrating period like become a good outcome? Because obviously like you used a performance coach, you obviously have an agent, you obviously built your connections. Like what did you do? This might be quite good for you to speak to Jude, because Jude is the PT here, he is the gym owner, and obviously you used someone locally for your performance. So what were the steps that you took to obviously like improve your game and also like in a frustrating period like make things better?
Well, like, I think obviously that's like double question, but I think for the first part, like during the frustrating times, like it's just so mental, like just always trying to improve your mentality. I feel like I think it was different because after obviously the first season in England was really tough, but after I went to Italy and I trialed and I got the contract, like I got the contract offer. So for me that was huge because it was like sort of an affirmation that everything that I was doing, like all the late night gym sessions, all like eating right, you know what I mean, all this stuff, all the extras was sort of paying off, and I was doing the right things. And so I have this analogy, right, that like if you go to the shop and you buy a bottle of water, it's $1, or we'll say £1 for English speakers. It's £1. If you go to maybe like a convenience shop, you buy a bottle of water, it's £2. If you go to like the cinema, you buy a bottle of water, it's £4. And if you go to like say a Premier League match, you buy a bottle of water, it could be like 5, 6, 7, £7. You know what I mean? But
Especially the Emirates.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially at Arsenal.
So I mean, I got to pay for Declan Rice's salary somehow. But but I mean, like, so the analogy, right? You bought the same bottle of water at like the product is the exact same, but it's just valued differently at different places. And so I think for me that was huge because like I knew that I was doing the exercise, I knew I was doing all the work, and like I just thought, if I'm valued like differently in England, or I'm valued differently in Italy, like surely I'll be valued differently in other places. And so for me, like I came to the realization that for me, just England wasn't a place where I was necessarily going to thrive at this point in my career. And so for me, I feel like that was just a good realization. I think too for anyone who's listening, like if you feel like you've put in the work and like you know where you sort of are in terms of like a level, like you feel that you can play at like this elite level, like maybe just like the location or situation and just isn't beneficial to you. And so like I feel, that's something just important kind of to recognize. But just in terms of like the other aspect, like in terms of building myself physically or whatever, just I think just a lot of discipline and just making sure I was always getting the sessions, putting in the work and
that's really interesting to hear, and that kind of links to my next question for you is what was the turning point for you? When did you start to realise that you were good enough for professional football? And you just, was there kind of like was it a day where you was just like, I know it's a bit like cringy and like weird, but was there a day where you just thought, no, I'm definitely making it as a professional, or was it a thing that you just
was it like a eureka moment?
Nah, I don't know if there's ever like a eureka moment, you know what I mean? But I just like, I feel like I'm one of those people who, as soon as like I sort of set my mind on something, like I'm just gonna do it. And like I think, so I had this meeting right with my coach like junior year in college, so I was probably about 19, and he literally sat me down and he said like, listen, like I think you can play professionally, like I think you can play after college, but like here are the things you have to do, like here are the sacrifices you have to make, and if you're willing to do it, like just go and get it. And I don't know, I just thought, like, I don't know, my coach believes in me, like, why not? So I think from that point forward, like, I've just always believed I was going to do it. And I feel like that's so important, like, obviously in sport and football, but I think, Jude, obviously for you too, as like a business owner, like an entrepreneur, like, you have to be so, you have to be so steadfast in like your own conviction. Like you have to be so sure of what you're doing that like regardless of what happens around you, what people say about you, like around you, so of all the noise, like you're just so sure that everything that you're doing.
Your mentality has to be just not giving a fuck, basically.
Absolutely.
Absolute tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Because if I listened to, obviously you've got to listen to some people, advice and stuff, but if I listen to people saying, oh no, I don't think you should do that yet, like I remember when I was working at Pure Gym, I worked at Pure Gym as a PT for about 4 months, and I said to my manager one day, look, I'm going to create my own gym company. She just laughed at me and said, you're not ready yet, and I just blocked it out and just went for it, and now we're here today, and obviously the company's coming along very nicely.
Yeah.
So, and in in new news, it's been a while, but there is something very big, a big project in the works. Charlie Kneath does know. We've had a little chat about it.
A couple of business meetings.
Yeah, that will be announced. Well, I don't know yet. But,
in due course.
But yes, it's going back to your point about, you have to have that mentality of just going for it. And your mindset needs to be unmatched. And especially for yourself as well. I'm sure there's been many times where you've doubted yourself. But there's definitely, even just speaking, this first time I've ever spoken to you, but even just speaking to you, you've definitely got that fire in you to just keep going. So, I like people like that. So thank you for coming on our podcast.
I've seen like some videos of your gym. First of all, it's class.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats to you and everything. I was say too, like I think I almost think like if you're gonna do anything like great, and if you have ambitions, like I almost feel like you have to be like a little bit delusional. And I say that you have to be like inwardly confident but outwardly quiet. And like I think those two things are like really important because like what you said, like I think obviously I try and believe that like everyone's good. Like I try and see good in people as much as I can, but I just think if you're gonna do something for yourself, like there's always gonna be people who are gonna try and just like tear you down. And
definitely.
So I think you just have to sort of have like this like unerring self-belief in whatever you're doing, that regardless of like what happens, like you just know you're gonna be all right. You know?
Yeah. So you're never gonna get those. You're never gonna get everyone who agrees with what you're doing anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it is things like we're doing now. It just takes time, and then once people start seeing the vision and the plan and it's working, then they start turning around being like, oh, like how did you get into that, or oh, what are you doing now? It'd be interesting to see like what you're doing, and like they want to meet up, and instantly they start becoming your best friend.
It's crazy. It is crazy.
But you have to. You just have to keep going, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But for me, there is no plan B. So I am just tunnel vision on it, and I'm sure you are with professional football as well. So it's really interesting.
I mean, Charlie, I'm sure like you experienced some of that too, because I remember Mr. Five-a-side when you got your England call thing. I remember when you got your call or whatever, and you posted on Instagram, and I saw, obviously it's different social media, but I saw so many people commenting who I just thought like, where were they before? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
You're fully right. That post I have is the most liked post and the most commented post. And I've posted like many pictures before, like especially the football ones, and nobody ever likes them apart from like just my mates or whatever. But as soon as like something big happens, everyone's jumping on the bandwagon thinking, oh, he's actually done something decent, like good on him and stuff. And like, obviously like Jude said, everyone wants to be your mate.
No, it is crazy, and like that literally leads perfectly into like another lesson I sort of realized is like, I just think in anything, like you just have to be so conscious who's like in your inner circle. And I say this because like I think it's really true in sport, but like I think it's obviously true in like business and in career and anything. But like it could be literally one person's energy or one person's words that like make or break your career. Like in sport, it is literally the smallest margins that can determine your success or failure. Like say before a game or something, like I speak to someone and like they just give me like a wrong vibe or whatever. Like that could genuinely determine maybe how I play in that performance, or like it could. Maybe there's someone who's watching me, like a scout or whatever, and I don't have a good game. That literally could derail my career. Do you know what I mean? And that sounds really silly, but it's actually the smallest margins. Like it could literally be one person's energy that like sort of makes or breaks you. And so I think just sort of knowing that, and like knowing that you can trust everyone, like everyone's opinions, like in your close circle, and just knowing who's actually in there is like so important. You know?
No, I fully agree with that, and it is a sense of keeping that circle as tight as possible. As me and Char know, we have a very tight circle, and well, I'd say our closest friends are all very motivated to do well. And I've dropped plenty of mates in boxing, through years. I've dropped plenty of mates through the years who were just negative in my life, and it's a very hard decision. It's
very hard,
and it does hurt, but it sometimes is for the better. And like you said, you're a big believer in everything happens for a reason, and so am I. And it sometimes it just comes to that, but it's for the better, and it kind of proves today that those decisions were right. Obviously, you make some wrong decisions. We all fuck up. But yeah, it just takes time. So, but yeah, fully agreed. Keep your circle tight.
Absolutely.
Of course. Well, yes, Danny, can you? Are we able to mention the team that you play for at the moment? Are we able to say that or not?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Okay. Yes.
So I'm going to try pronounce it.
Yeah, go
so
on,
correct me if I'm wrong. So it's FK Galavia.
Garlava, but yeah.
Garlava. Oh, damn it.
Close enough.
Close.
Yeah, very close.
So that is what division in Lithuania is that?
Second division.
Second division, and obviously you've been there since July. Is that correct?
July, yeah.
So 3 months. How have you been finding it? How's pre-season been? How does it? What is it? Is it different to America and England, or is it very similar?
Yeah. So I mean, so obviously, like on the surface, so it's very different in terms of the season layout. Like I've actually joined in the like mid-season window.
Oh, mad.
Right. So my season actually ends in November.
Oh, mad.
And then I don't know what's going to happen after that. Like if I sign again or what happens there. But so obviously on paper that was very different. But yeah, I've been finding it nice. Like it's very physical. Like it's sort of like the same level of physicality as England, but I found it so much easier just because of like the technical ability of like everyone sort of. Like I think for me, like obviously Charlie, you've seen me kind of play a bit, but Jude, just for some light, like just because of my frame and my build, like I'm a player who really needs to pick up the ball like at the correct times. Like when I check into the pocket, I can't be waiting for a ball for like 2-3 seconds, otherwise I'm just getting clattered. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's really nice, like sort of being able to like have other players sort of at like a very, very high standard, and that I think sort of helps me. So I found it really good. And obviously, I actually moved out. I came here to trial. I was meant to trial for 10 days. But I played pretty well like the first couple of days, and after 5 they just offered me a contract. And it's been a good experience. Like it's been frustrating too. Like I actually missed the first game because my international clearance didn't come through, and I was just like waiting, and then finally came through, and I started the next 3. Picked up a knock about a week and a half ago, so I've been sort of recovering, resting, doing like individual training and stuff, and then today is actually been my first full like team training back after this last week. So yeah, it's been a lot of ups and downs, but I feel like I'm kind of used to it at this point, you know. So
of course. So obviously you are mid-season, so right. You've obviously been through a whole week of being a pro. What is your schedule of being a pro footballer? Monday to Saturday, training to game day. What does it look like? Yeah.
So Mondays. So we're in Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Games on Saturday. Tuesday and Thursday normally are double days, so that we'll have 2 training sessions, as well as like gym, and then Friday is like match day -1, so it's very light. We'll just do set pieces, like a bit of rondos, whatever. Saturday is a game, and then Sunday's day off, and then Wednesday's usually a day off as well.
Decent.
Nice.
So is there much to do on the days off, or not really?
I mean, so the town I actually live in, like in Garlava, is very small. Like it's more just like a little village, to be honest. But I'm currently in like the main city, which is called Kneath. And there's quite a bit to do. Like normally I just go to like a coffee shop, try and do some work, like read, and relax. But yeah, there's not a ton to do, to be honest. So.
Yeah. This is your first time in like a full professional environment. You've never done this before full time. So how are you finding that? Is it quite what's the word I'm looking for? Is it just quite nice to just think, all I've got to focus on is training, gym, eating, and playing well on a Saturday?
Yeah, do you know, it's unreal. Like, because obviously in England I was a student and I was playing, and then I was working part-time and I was playing, and yeah, it was just terrible. Like, I mean, obviously I'm grateful for my experience and whatever, but like working part-time and just trying to train like a professional is so long. Like, it's actually maybe the worst experience. So I'm just really grateful sort of to be in an environment now where, it's like you said, my only focus is just on football. Like, don't have to worry about anything else. So.
No, of course. And then in terms of like accommodation, do they provide that, or do you have to find your own accommodation? And then what is it like? Do you room share with someone?
Yeah, so I'm currently living in a player house, which is quite nice. Like, like I just live with like a couple of other players, and yeah, it's pretty chill. Like only like a couple minutes away from the ground, so.
Decent.
Yeah.
But no, Danny, it sounds amazing. I mean, it sounds like my dream. As I wanted to be a professional footballer at one time. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I have played with you.
Really?
I think. Did you ever play for Peacehaven?
I did, yeah. I did. Yeah.
Last season at all?
No, not really. No.
Oh.
Yeah. You would have definitely seen him.
I mean, I'm not hard to miss, to be fair. Big centre back in the day, very
go on,
slow.
Jude. I just remember what I was going to ask. So in terms of gym, we'll go on to the gym side of it, because obviously when me and you trained in pre-season, you mentioned you were on a loss of calories. Has that changed at all? Do you have like someone that instructs like how many types of calories you have, the types of nutrients, and then the types of the amount of times you've obviously got to train?
Yeah, so before I left, like the guy that I do SEC with, he's really good. He actually has like a whole micro macro like food calculator or whatever, so I do have like the breakdowns of like what I should be eating and like how much I should be eating, so yeah, that's been really handy kind of to have as well.
How many calories are you on at the moment? Are you still on the same amount that you were in pre-season?
Yeah, it's brutal. It's like almost 4,000 calories I'm meant to be eating a day, so.
Yeah. Jude, how mad is that? Yeah, yeah. I was going to say, don't we wish for that, 4,000.
Do you know,
that was when I was bulking, mate.
Yeah, do you know, it's actually at a point where like I don't really eat food anymore, like to enjoy it. Like I just eat it because I need to, which is quite sad, but like I literally just make the fattest bowl of like spaghetti and like beef, and I'll just pound it. That's like my dinner. Do you know what I mean? So.
That is the thing.
Dream,
that is the thing. As an adult, or as if you not adult, as an athlete, or when you get older and you want to look after your body, sometimes you have to sort of like take what you need rather than what you want.
Yeah. No.
So I'm guessing out of that 4,000 calories, you're not having a single chocolate bar or any sweets or anything like that.
No, I think it's obviously important like to balance like your diet. Like I think.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, like every Saturday, I try and do like one meal where I'll literally just eat whatever I want.
Yeah.
Like for like literally whatever I want. It could be like a chocolate bar, like ice cream or whatever. Like, because I just think that's important. Like otherwise, yeah, it just gets way too long. You know what I mean?
You want that lifestyle.
Yeah.
You want the lifestyle. You want a balance between a decent diet, but you want it to be a lifestyle for yourself. So you're not getting bored of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're never going to stick to it. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you would stick to a strict diet. I'm sure you would, but most people, as I know, training most people, they don't stick to a boring diet with chicken, rice, and broccoli. So you have to create a lifestyle for them.
Yeah.
I have had one client ask, can we put macaroni cheese in the diet, and that was definitely a no.
Macaroni cheese.
I love
that's
macaroni
funny.
cheese, man. That's cool.
No, that's banging.
So yeah.
So Danny, you've obviously only got 2 months left till the season ends. I mean, I don't think you have yet, but have you thought about what's going to happen after? Have you spoken to your agent? What is the plan after Lithuania, or are you going to stay there?
Do you know what? I was literally speaking to one of my friends the other day about it, because it's quite mental, like when I put it into perspective. Like, so Jude, I was saying this like before we started the podcast to Charlie, but like so this week's international break, and we don't have like a game scheduled, but we have a friendly. We're playing a team in A Lyga, which is like the top division in Lithuania, and they're called Kauno Žalgiris. And I guess like last season they played like the Europa League or like Europa Conference League or something like that. And you know what I mean? Like I feel like kind of what you're saying. Like sometimes you just like look back and see like how far you've come. Like if you told me like 4 years ago I'd be playing like a Europa League team, you know what I mean? I would have said you were crazy. So, and I think that's just the level like now. And I don't know. I just think, yeah, like it's sick, obviously, but I feel like I'm so close, and like I haven't really even sort of like fully grasped it. Do you know what I mean? So, because like you said, like obviously I'm really excited to see what the levels are like, but I'm sure it's pretty comparable to what I'm playing now. And it's like if I have like one, 2 good like months, do you know what I mean? Like, who says like I couldn't get signed into like a top Lithuanian team, and then you know what I mean, be playing European football all of a sudden. Do you know what I mean? Like,
That'd be mad. See you on TNT Sports in the Europa Conference League against like West Ham or something.
Bro, that'd be mad. Yeah.
What position are you, Danny?
Yeah, so I mean, I'd say that most naturally as like a 10, but I've actually been playing all around the shop recently. Like, I've played like the first 2 games of box to box, so like more as like an 8. I played some of it as a wing back, and then I was also playing center defensive mid for a bit. So it's been totally like dependent on like tactics what a coach like wants out of me. But yeah.
Who would you compare yourself the most? Like out of like a big name, what player would you compare yourself to? Because I've got one in mind, but I don't think you'll agree.
That's actually such a good question.
I'll go with mine. I think Bernardo Silva. I don't know if that's a good shout or not.
No, that's a good shout. Like, I was actually thinking like one of my favorite players who I grew up watching was Mesut Ozil, and just like the way that he could like just create things, and like he was just so like tidy, and I don't know, he just saw things like differently. And so like I think he's a player I like definitely look up to, and I try and sort of emulate parts of my game around.
Sure. Even if he is a gooner.
Yeah.
Charles.
I mean, like, yeah, Real Madrid, Mesut Ozil, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Not Mesut Ozil, just dead, but do you know what I mean? But,
yeah.
Charles,
but yeah.
question for you. Who would you compare yourself to? Then I'll do me.
So I'm such a classic Brit. There's only 2 goalkeepers. Obviously I'm a Tottenham fan, so I've always wanted to be like Lloris, but I don't think I'm like Lloris. I think I'm more like Nick Pope.
I think you're Joe Hart.
I was literally going to say either Nick Pope or Joe Hart, because like Nick Pope, he's got like the tall frame, sort of saves with his feet, just like a classic English guy. And then Joe Hart, he's a bit of a madman, he's a bit loud. I feel like I'm a bit loud on the pitch. Like, I love having an argument. Literally the other day I had an argument with a player. He just squared up to me. I'm like, shut up, mate, you're literally losing. But yeah, Jude, who do you reckon? Because I've got a name in mind.
Right. Who's really slow?
Harry Maguire.
Jude, obviously I've never seen you play, but you just seem so Brexit to me.
He actually is.
I feel like you just 2-foot me, like the playing.
Centre back. Oh, don't know. John Terry. There you go.
John Terry, you having a laugh?
Skipper.
Actually, to be fair, Danny, when we were in college, yeah, you know, we went to the Brighton of Albion college, right? In our final season, Jude was our top goal scorer from centre half. He scored 6 goals.
That's mental.
He was actually me and him had a bet, right? What was the bet again? If he scored 10 goals, I'd give him 50 quid.
I should have got some money for that.
Or was it 100? It was peak because the games got cancelled because of COVID. We only had like 8 games, but he scored 6 goals from centre half.
What, all set pieces?
All set pieces, yeah, of course they were. Just coming up for corners and just nodding it in.
Do you know what it is? It's always the centre backs. Like, it's either set pieces or like 40-yard worldies.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's one of the 2. part.
It's class. But yeah, I'd say yeah, John Terry. I was definitely leading the line and leading the team always.
No, of course.
So yeah, John Terry or Harry Maguire. So,
Yeah, that's a good shout. Right, Danny, I've got 2 more questions for you. Obviously, the penultimate one I'm going to go with is, you might not really have an answer for it, but what is your goal in professional footballer, or are you just seeing what the opportunities like lead you to?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I feel like obviously, as every kid dreams, like I just want to play as high level as I possibly can. Like the thought of like playing like Champions League or just like even playing like a top division somewhere is like that's probably the goal. But for me, yeah, I don't know, just trying to be happy, just play football is my career. Like,
of course.
I've never been bothered about the money. Like I've always wanted to play, and like I actually think, I don't know if you ever talked about it on the podcast, so sorry if I'm just airing out your business, Charlie, but
No,
I remember after a session we did, we were on the train home, and I remember you were actually thinking about quitting football, and this was like 2 months before you got your 6-a-side thing.
Yeah.
I remember you were thinking about quitting football. I literally said to you like why? Like why would you quit? Because like the only person you're affecting is like you. So no one else really cares. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And so that's how I was thought about it. It's like even if I wasn't playing like at professional, or wasn't playing like at a high standard, like I'd still probably be playing just because like I love the game.
No, of course.
So like for me, it's never been about the money or anything else, just because I love it. You know?
Yeah. I actually always think back, and I always actually tell either my mum or whoever like about that conversation that we had, because you actually really inspired me that night. You literally were like, realistically, if you quit, who actually cares apart from yourself? Like, you're doing this all for yourself. And I think that was like a really like, that was a big turning point for me. And obviously, as you've seen, 2 months later, I'm in the England squad. I'm travelling to Slovakia and stuff like that. So, no, you definitely really inspired me and helped me out, especially in my football. Which is why, like, there's no surprise today you're in Lithuania playing professional football yourself. So my last question is then, the question we ask to every guest that comes on: what is the bare minimum of becoming a professional footballer? Do you have like a 5-step rule? Last time we had a guest on, we had 5 steps, didn't we, Jude?
Yeah.
To the bare minimum. What is the bare minimum to becoming a professional footballer? Is it one specific thing, or is it different components?
Yeah, it's 100% different components, and like I don't know, it feels weird to me, right? Because like you guys heard imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that a lot.
Yeah, sometimes I feel that way, because it's just like, how can you go from like playing like step 9 and now suddenly I'm playing like step 2, like with a chance like we get promoted and then playing like European football? Like, it's mental. But I think the first thing obviously is just like the belief, like confidence you need to have in yourself, like, and like obviously this ties into like the mental side of football. But yeah, just like I think you just have to have like the strongest self-belief, and just like whatever happens, like you just sort of know that you'll make it. I think that's what I'd probably say that's step 1. I think 2 is like, and I'm sure like this is more relatable in terms of like football and career, but you should be willing to like sacrifice. And I think like obviously you just kind of what you said, you need to always keep in mind that you're doing it for yourself, and that realistically it's not going to be easy. Like for me, like I mean, I've sacrificed, I feel like, a lot. Like I mean, I haven't seen my family in ages. Like I've missed, I can't remember the last time I was home for like a Thanksgiving. Do you know what I mean? It's like stuff like that you don't really think about. You don't see your family, friends for however long. But yeah, so I'd say like sacrifice. That's the other one. And then I think too, like for football, it's just like the basics. Like, and I've noticed this more and more. Like obviously, like the different levels I've played and like experienced and stuff. But like the higher you get, it's not about like the flashiness, like the step overs, whatever. It's just how quick you can like move the ball. It's literally the basics. Like I think that's something really important for like any kids like out there. Like obviously you need to express yourself, you need to like enjoy the game. But at the end of the day, to like play at a high level, it's not about that. It's really just like your decision making, how quick you can make decisions, how quick you can pass the ball, like how good your touch is. Do you know what I mean? It's like stuff like that. So yeah, I'd say those are my main 3. It's just like, yeah, I'd say like the belief, the sacrifice, and then just continue to work on the basics.
No, of course. There's some really good components there, and I hope whoever's listening can take that on board. I think we do have a lot of people that are into football and obviously chasing that goal, just like me and just like what you're doing at the moment. So I really appreciate that. I think we're going to go on.
Last one. Sorry, I forgot. This is the most important. hard work beats talent any day.
All day,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
Facts.
like
All
if, you're
day.
not, if you are not talented, like if you're not good, like right now, or you think that there's work to improve, like just work on it. Because like, yeah, hard work beats talent every day. Like
No, of course.
I've genuinely never been the best player at any single club that I've been at. But I just feel like it's my work ethic that's kind of pushed me through levels. So.
No, of course.
Yeah, agreed.
Of course. Well, yes.
One last question.
Go on then.
Why are you a bloody Spurs fan?
So like, when I was growing up, right, they never like streamed football in the US, like prem games. Never streamed it till I was about 15, and so I just grew up watching like YouTube reels of like of Ronaldo, like Neymar, like sort of highlights. And then once they started streaming, I remember it was right when Son moved from Leverkusen to Spurs, and obviously like as an Asian footballer, like I just followed him because he was like obviously one of the best Asian stars in that time. And yeah, I just watched him at Spurs, and yeah, kind of just from there.
Amazing.
Fell in love with Tottenham.
Fell in love. So I think he just
Can't
scored a
smile
hat-trick.
without you.
Yeah, exactly. He scored a hat-trick last week, I think. So
Yeah, he did against Burnley. Class. We're absolutely balling with Ange ball, mate. Well,
See
yes.
how long that lasts when you come to the Emirates.
Oh, right, yeah. We'll see. We'll have the last laugh, mate. Thank you. Right, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you, Danny, for coming on. I really appreciate it. Good luck for the last 2 months of the season. Please keep me updated with how you're getting on. We'll keep the viewers updated. Jude, thank you as always, my lovely co-host.
Always here.
It's been a long time.
Thank you very much, Danny.
Thanks for having me.
For coming on. Appreciate it. Nice to speak to you as well.
Nice to speak to you as well.
We'll obviously keep in touch with what you're doing, and we'll hopefully have you on again in God knows how long.
Hopefully when you're playing Champions League football.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's crazy to even think that's like a reality or possibility.
No,
you know? So,
of course. Well, guys, if you have enjoyed the video, please give it a like, comment and a subscribe. Give us a favourite on Spotify, and keep up to Danny. His socials are in the link below. You can follow his games and stuff. They're being live streamed, aren't they? Is that correct?
Yep.
Are they being live streamed? So we can watch Danny as well. Keep up to date with him. But if you did enjoy, we will see you all in the next episode. Peace.